Hello everyone, we will now see our next tutorial, that is meshing attribute boundary layer. So in this tutorial we will see how to create boundary layer attribute and how one can create the boundary layers in the mesh at the required locations. So I would request everybody to also go through the meshing guide which is available in the installation directory once you are done with this tutorial, because that will help you to understand all the options available in the boundary layer attribute. So with this, let's start our tutorial. You can see here I have opened the Viaduct assembly in Creo, and you can also notice the tagging done here as per the requirement. Here we added a boundary layer a value under this parameter named boundary layer against each CAD part. The reason is we want boundary layer is to be created for all the parts, and we will be using this 3D class while specifying the boundary layer attribute. Also, we don't want the boundary layers at specific locations, for example, near this inlet as well as near the outlet region. So for that, we added a 2D class that will help us to specify, or that will help us to skip the boundary layers at those locations. So for that, we added a 2D class. Maybe I'll quickly show you what is that class. So I'll go in the tool parameter, then I'll just select surface here, and I'll just select this surface. So you can see here this no boundary layer 2D class is added on this surface. Similarly, it is added on these two surfaces as well. So we will be using the relation between this 2D class and the 3D class, and we will specify that we don't want boundary layer is to be created near these locations. So this is all about the CAD modeling point of view. You guys can add a specific class on the parts where you want boundary layer is to be created. Let's now see some details related to abstract model file. You can see here I have opened the abstract model file in CAENexus. Now this file is available in the Scratch directory, so you can just open that in the CAENexus, and you can observe in the meshing tab we have already created a boundary layer attribute. So for example, this attribute, the closure entity of boundary layer A class, that is boundary inside, is used for creating this boundary layer attribute. Maybe I'll quickly show you where the option is available for creating the boundary layer. So you just select the closure entity of boundary layer A class, that is boundary inside. After that, in the meshing tab, go to create, and then just go to boundary, just select 3D, and you can use the options available as per your requirement. So this attribute is already created here, so I'll just open this attribute and we'll just see the details. So you can see here in this attribute editor there are a lot of options available. So time being we have selected this geometric growth as option, but you can select any option as per your requirement. After that, you can see here it is asking some inputs like what should be my first layer thickness, what is the total thickness, and how many number of layers I actually want. So you can fill these details as per your requirement, and you can generate the boundary layers accordingly. Now the more details or the more explanation about all these options is available in the meshing guide. So I would request all of you that just go through that guide so that you'll understand each and every term from this attribute editor. So likewise, one can just specify the attribute and we'll just click on apply and close. Similarly, we have created one more attribute here. So you can notice we use the relation between boundary layer A and no boundary layer 2D class for this attribute, and here we selected none as an option. So what we are saying that we don't want boundary layers to be created in the region which is represented by this relation. So likewise, you can specify the boundary layer attribute as per your requirement, and you can create the boundary layer at the location wherever you want, and you can just keep the location where you don't want the boundary layer is to be created. So let's create the simulation model now. So all of you know that for creating simulation model, one need to click on this icon, that is simulation model. After that, it will ask you for the CAD model. So just select the Y delta assembly and your simulation model will get created. So you can see here, this is my simulation model. And if I see my boundary layer attribute here, then this first attribute, if I open it, then you can see the model association is the closure entity of my boundary layer A class, that is boundary of boundary layer A inside. So that will highlight some region here. So you can see it's highlighting all my parts, and the boundary layer will get created inside the region represented by these parts. Similarly, if I just select my another attribute which is specified on my relation between 2D class and 3D class, then you can notice it is highlighting some area, and the boundary layers will be skipped or will not be generated here in these areas. So likewise, you can just specify the attribute and you can just verify whether it's going at the required geometry or not. So after that, let's create the mesh model now. So I'll just click on this icon, that is mesh model, and my meshing based on my meshing attribute will happen automatically. Yes, you can see here my mesh is now ready. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just have a sectional view so that we can see how exactly the boundary layers are created. For that, I'll just go here in the action, then I'll click on open and I'll just open the clip plane editor. So what I want is I want a sectional view which is perpendicular to y-axis. So I'll just select y-axis here and I'll click on update. Maybe I'll just go here view, I'll just hide all but selected. So you can see now here, this is my sectional view. And if I see my elements across the section, and if I zoom some area, so you can see here, my boundary layers are created inside the region. So you can notice these are generated based on the values, whatever given in the attribute. Similarly, at the bottom side, I can see that is the boundary layers created here. So likewise, these boundary layers will be present across all my part. One more thing is you can notice the boundary layers are not present here because we have skipped those boundary layers with the help of this attribute, that is the relation between my 3D class and 2D class. Similar thing you can observe here also near my outlet region. So you can notice the boundary layers are present here as well as here, but it is not present here in this area. So this way you can just make use of boundary layer attribute and you can just create the boundary layers accordingly. Maybe I'll just open this attribute and I'll just say that we have used this option, that is geometric growth, but there are a lot of other options available here, and once you use those options you'll have to just give necessary inputs, and based on that your boundary layers will get generated. Now all the information related to all the options as well as the input required for those options is available in the machine guide. So I would request all of you to go through that guide as well. Also just carry out this tutorial and you should be able to understand how exactly you can make use of this boundary layer attribute. So this is all about this tutorial. If you guys are having any question or queries, then please feel free to contact at support@novusnexus.com. and we'll get back to you accordingly. We will now meet in the next tutorial. Till then, have a good day. Bye.